Hey everybody, Mags here. We are going to review some of the hints and tips that we've been given this year on the Dynasty Hot Seat. If you are new here, do me a favor, can you like, comment, share on this video for me, please, like you can see here. And then also, if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button too? It really helps out. Right, on to the hints and tips.
So firstly, I'd done a list quite a few weeks ago when you asked me onto the show, and watching the shows, there was a certain guy, Lewis Wood. I've absolutely enjoyed the show massively, but for some reason, he must have seen my list from 1 to 3 because he read them out in order. Great minds think alike. So I've had to come up, I've had to come up with 3 more. So I tried to come up with ones that people maybe haven't said, or just maybe say something a bit different about them. But my tip 1 is, one of my pet peeves really is the fact some people in Dynasty think that you have to win every single trade that you do with your teammates. They try and get every grain of value from every single trade that they do. And I get a lot of people that ask me, what do you think about this trade? And, that's really enjoyable for me to help people, get, nail a good trade in their Dynasty league. But sometimes they come back and say, oh, well, my Dynasty calculator says I'm losing it by a couple of points. What about if I, try and get another second out of it? And I'm just like, you really don't need to do that. You're going to put the other player off from dealing with you. It can be a real deal breaker, not just for that deal, but for down the line as well. I found that if you just give a little bit of value to start off with, people are far more likely to try and deal with you in the future and then create even better trades down the line. So I've got a guy in one of the leagues that I commissioned that he sends me probably 3 or 4 trades a week, and some of them are ridiculous, but they're just fun because he's sending me them all the time. And quite often we do find a medium where we hit on a really fantastic deal for both of us, and we've got that good communication, a good relationship between us. So there's nothing worse than if someone sends you a trade which is just ridiculous and they think is fair, but it makes you not want to trade with them, for the rest of the season or whatever, until they change their tune. But that's my tip 1, is you just don't have to smash every single trade. If you give a bit of value, that they might be willing to give you a bit of value down the line. So that'd be my tip 1.
Yeah, I like that as well. And it's, building that rapport with, like, you said there really interestingly, and it's kind of like you're like your teammates, like you're like your rivals sort of as well, but they're still the people keeping that league going. There's so many problems with leagues folding and things like that. Getting that healthy trading relationship really helps. And, you'll often get people like, oh, I don't know, it's like, oh, I just need a third on top of that. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you just want that, like, just to, and sometimes, you can lean into that as well. Like, you can play, what people always want to win a trade. So you might be like, oh, I'll give you a third on top. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, but really, like, you're just doing that to get it over the line. Like, just, it's a very good tip. Like, just try and be, like Lewis said as well, kind of like try and be nice to each other sometimes. And don't worry about winning every trade. And there's nothing worse than seeing, like, that's my biggest pet peeve is you'll send a trade out and you'll say, oh, not for me, mate, thanks. And you'll get just one post back and it'll be like a screenshot of a trade calculator showing you how this person's actually losing the trade. It's like, well, don't care.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to rinse your teammates. It's a fun competition. We all play because we enjoy it. We're not here to absolutely smash each other, and it's meant to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I love that as tip number 1. So what do you got for us for your second tip?
So I think this has been said before. I think it was Kev or someone said it, but it's tiers, and tiers to me are far more important than rankings 1 to 24. So especially when you're doing startups, it's great to have your rankings because right, said player's off the board. This is my next highest player. I'm going to pick him. But if you want to get proper value, then you think, right, well, there's 3 players I've got in this one tier. I'm happy that they're not all going to go off the board. Perhaps I can trade back a couple of picks and pick up extra value, and I'm still going to get a player in that same tier. So for me, tiers are absolutely imperative to doing well in Dynasty. Get your rankings, but also put them into tiers, because then which players are roughly the same value. You can trade sideways instead of backwards, and you're going to pick up value across the board.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well. Like, it just, being willing to trade back and pick up extra value whenever you need. And it is hard, ranking, players in that definitive, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that'll change so often. Like 1 week, even if you look at matchups, like if you really want it to be that fluid with it, you could change your rankings based on matchups and ease of schedule for that year. And I think putting them in tiers makes it much easier to kind of say, this is what I think of this, block of players. So I really like that, as looking at tiers and then finding value from those tiers. So I love that as a second tip, Ali. So what do you got for us for your third?
Okay, so it leads on to the draft nicely, really. So it's a draft tip, and you don't have to draft your starting lineup in your starting draft. You're not picking players 1 to 11. They're not the ones that need to fill your lineup. So if you've not got a second running back, don't reach for a running back for your starting lineup. Basically, just pick best player available when it comes to nearly every round. Obviously, apart from quarterback, I think in Superflex, it's imperative you get your quarterbacks early so you don't miss out. But then after that, just fill your team with best player available, because the amount of times or the amount of trades that you see straight after startups when the draft is finished, there's trades flying about left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
People didn't get their player, but they took a player that another guy liked, so they were able to get that player in a trade. So it's basically don't pick for starting lineup. Just pick best player available, and which I'll try and do tonight. But apart from that, just pick best player available. Apart from your quarterbacks, because you can always trade for need later on. Yeah,
I love that, and I think I might be wrong, but I think in a league that we're in to start up this year, I think some guy, I can't remember who it was, just got Aaron Rodgers at an absolute steal. And he already had his quarterback set, but he was like, I got not take Aaron Rodgers here. And then he traded him later on for, a player that had been picked before Aaron Rodgers in the actual draft. So it's just, using that to your advantage and realizing that this isn't a draft it's not a draft competition. It's like, you need to think of long term and thinking about value. I mean, that's sort of the very first tip that was on the show, was these picks and these positions and these players, once the season starts, it's a completely different ball game. And like the value, especially of the quarterbacks, that is just, if someone's desperate for a quarterback, they'll overpay for those quarterbacks. You've seen people, paying huge amounts to get like Taylor Heineke last year, and like just because he was a starting quarterback. So use that to your advantage and play the long game with it. So I think that's a great tip for tip number 3. Pick the best player available. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Remember, like this video, leave a comment if you want, and subscribe to the channel. These videos are going to be coming thick and fast, so you don't want to miss anything. So that's it for today. In the meantime, keep yourselves, keep your teams lit. We'll see you next time.